Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra, Kaye, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Saadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. Your head might need a little bit of sun. But nevertheless, he is still bald, and he's probably gonna be that way unless he go get some Rogaine, or, a transplants or whatever, But bald is cool. It's whatever. Nevertheless, the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always try to do better. We are not live, but we will be live later at 5 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to continue talking about politics, as there's less than, I think, about this point, 100 days until the election. And we now know who Kamala Harris will be on the ticket with, and that is Governor Tim Walz of Michigan, not Minnesota. Is it Minnesota? Minnesota. And we're going to get into him. And we're also going to ponder the question as to why Black Democratic voters are willing to send Kamala and Tim now to the White House without asking anything from them at all. So, Donovan, what say you?
Hey, you guys. Great to see you guys back. We are not live. Welcome to the Demetra K podcast. Great to have you guys back. It is the most pivotal election of your life, so you guys have got to pay attention to what all of these people are saying. Do us a favor. At the bottom there, you see a scrolling banner: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, cash, check, money order. We take it all. I think we even have PayPal as well. Yeah, PayPal as well is on there. So we got all that. If you guys want to go ahead and subscribe and donate to the channel. It does take time, effort, and money to produce these shows. So anything that you guys contribute would be great. Also, don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get it on Google Play, Apple Store. If you don't want to do that, you can just go to the YouTube channel, become a member, like, share, and subscribe. And another thing that I always say on the show, especially with this, even when we're live and when we're not live, share this on your platform. Get the message out, and that way, more people could be educated about what's really going on. Because, Demetra, one of the biggest problems that we have in the Black community is misinformed voters. We don't care how you vote, but know what you're voting for. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. So, yes, it has just been announced a couple of hours ago. Of course, people thought that the announcement would come last night, but it sounds like Vice President Kamala Harris, again, who is going to has changed places with Joe Biden. Originally, Joe Biden, who is the president now, obviously, was going to be seeking another term, but then all of a sudden he decided not to. Now, it came after his abysmal performance at the debate between him and Trump, where people really got to see Biden's cognitive issues on full display. And so a lot of Democrats, the DNC, and some, real big playmakers was like, nah, this ain't it. A lot of donors started to back out. Says, yeah, we're not backing this ticket because clearly there's something going on with Biden. Of course, I think he's 80, 81 now. So again, he backed out, and Kamala decided to step up to the plate. And then recently she was nominated as the official candidate for the Democratic Party to go up against that of Donald Trump, who was the president obviously before, and J.D. Vance, who will be his vice president. Okay, so sounds like Kamala wanted to sleep on the decision. It was a few people: Josh Shapiro, Kelly, what's his name? Senator Kelly out of Arizona, Mark Kelly, and then Tim Walz. I keep thinking of trying to get his name mixed up. Tim Walz. So she decided to choose Tim Walz. Now, from what I was listening to commentary earlier, they said that she kind of went off of vibes as well. Doesn't sound like she knew him very much. He's a governor of Minnesota, but they, in conversation, vibed pretty well. And I guess she liked some of the things that he is doing now. From what I've learned of him, I did some reading and researching of him. And so, again, he is the governor of Minnesota. And it says that he is 60 years old, was born and raised in rural Nebraska, and served in the Army National Guard for 24 years. He became a teacher in Nebraska and then Mankato, Minnesota, where he taught social studies and coached the high school football team. He was the faculty advisor for the school's first Gay Straight Alliance chapter in 1999. Also goes on to say that Tim has been touted as a firmly liberal governor. says in 2023, he signed legislation that codified abortion rights into state law, legalized marijuana, enacted new gun control laws, provided free lunch to all public school students, created a paid leave program, provided undocumented immigrants access to Minnesota's driver's licenses, protected the rights of LGBTQ plus people to receive gender affirming health care. And I also looked a little bit more into it myself, and this came from the Impact, by the way. But it sounds like he also did sign some sort of a police reform, if you will, there in Minnesota. Of course, you know, that's where George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin in 2020. And so it kind of reads along the lines of that, of the one that Biden signed into federal law, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Now, of course, we know that was kind of the hotbed of a lot of protests and things like that. And so with the banning chokeholds and creating a database to make sure that bad Apple cops aren't hired and things like that, Tim Walz did fund the police even more, even though that was kind of a battle cry of a lot of protesters. Defund the police. Sounds like he gave about $10 million more to training and, you know, things like that. He also spearheaded the Crown Act. There's a Crown Act here in Texas, so I don't even know what that means, right? The Crown Act is obviously the act that says that in his particular state, Black and brown people are not discriminated against due to their hair, right? How they want to wear their hair and the texture of their hair and things like that. He also was behind or helping get a task force to solve the missing and murdered Black women and girls. So he created a task force. What actually happened with that task force, I don't know. But we know what a task force is kind of getting to the bottom of stuff. It's not really like legislation to let's get out there, boots on the ground type of stuff. It's okay, let's talk about it, right? Because we hear about a lot of task force and committees and stuff on reparations. And by the way, I didn't see anything that he was pro reparations or anything like that, which is what Black Americans are asking for. And so I want to come at it from a standpoint of Black Americans. What's in it for us that Governor Tim Walz will be the vice president if he is elected to the White House with Vice President now Kamala Harris? What's in it for us as Black people? And is this a net positive that he has joined the ticket? Donovan?
Yeah, this is an interesting choice because remember, it was leaked that the governor of Maryland, or is it Maryland, I think, Shapiro, he was going to be the choice, and that they even made a actual commercial about it. And I guess when the leak got out, it kind of course, it spoiled a lot of things that they had planned. But if you really think about it, if this woman does become president of the United States, and you have a Jewish vice president, based on the policies that we do to back Israel, that would cause a lot more problems around the globe, I would think, in my own opinion, in regards to that. Because, you know, again, Kamala unilaterally has already promised support to the aggressor of the genocide going on in Gaza, $48 billion, I believe, in additional military arms, bombs, and equipment. So it wouldn't look good in that pic. So
how much did you say?
I think it was like 48 billion.
It's a 48 billion. Okay, yeah. I thought it was. Go ahead.
Yeah. I thought it's 40. I think it's about 48 billion in military equipment, bombs, and things of that nature. So that would look good in regards to our foreign policy. So once it's leaked, they switch to this person here, and he represents the Midwest, out of Minnesota. I don't know how that's going to help the ticket, being that this governor is basically not really known outside of Minnesota. I mean, I don't know how that helps the ticket. But then again, if you really think about it objectively, Kamala was chosen. Nobody voted for her. So would it really matter who the vice president is if he's also chosen as well? So if you know anything about politics, the vice presidency is a place where politicians go to die politically. It doesn't really hold anything. You're just a placeholder in case something happens. A good example, like with Joe Biden, because he ran with Obama, that was something that galvanized a lot of Black people, like, oh yeah, cool Joe and all this other stuff. How's that working out for you guys now? So again, it might give you some name recognition depending on what president you served under. But this pick is, and I'm just going to give my opinion. This is not Demetra's opinion. This is my opinion. Kamala Harris, as you guys have seen right now, has lost momentum and steam. The honeymoon period is over. People are demanding policy. Black people are demanding policy. What is she going to do? What is the vision? Where is she going to take us? And I've been saying this on my podcast as well. Kamala Harris is the least likely candidate to win because she is highly unpopular. She could not even get any votes of her own home state of California, which is very important in a presidential race. California has more electoral votes than any other state. You're talking about at least 55 electoral votes in California alone. So the Democrats know that they cannot win the presidency. And this is my opinion. Kamala Harris is the crash test dummy. They know she has no chance of winning. So it doesn't matter who her vice president pick is. It doesn't matter. All Kamala is going to do is a symbolic gesture toward women to make them vote. And we've already done the math on this. If Joe Biden barely won with the majority of Black votes, he barely won. How does Kamala expect to win right now? And the Democrats have hemorrhaged over 20% of the Black vote that say they're not going to vote for Joe Biden or Kamala. We haven't even put in the white woman vote. You mean to tell me the white women who didn't vote for Hillary is all of a sudden going to vote for Kamala Harris? I don't think so. Like I said, I just think these are just crash test dummies, because why would you pick a vice president from a state that nobody has even really heard of? And then what value does he bring to the ticket? The chick in Michigan has more leverage. Arizona, I mean, there's so many, Gavin Newsom, there's so many other people would have heard of to come to the ticket. So I just think they're setting this up as crash test dummies to, for the next election. Okay, hey, we nominated a woman, It's just one of those things that what's going to change for Black people, what's going to change in this country if the Democrats get 4 more years? I'll tell you what's going to change. What did you see the first 4 years? It's going to be a continuation of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just as far as what's going on with Israel, that's baffling to me, because it's like all of a sudden all these people who are against Joe and Kamala for the genocide, and that's kind of what it is, it's genocide that's going on there in Gaza, the West Bank. All of a sudden they now think that she's changed her mind, like she's not going to continue on with it. I mean, if you are plugged into the news and what's going on, they are really just getting rid of, the Palestinian wholesale. Let's just keep it a buck, right? And we saw Kamala a week or so ago shaking hands with Netanyahu when he was over here, and she did pledge more money to helping them. Of course, she says, my heart hurts for the Palestinian. As says that she's president, she's going to sign a check. Let's also keep it a buck. She is married to a Jewish man. Doug Emhoff is very Jewish. So I don't know why anybody think that she would change her mind on what's going on. And, I don't like to mention Palestinians without mentioning the Congolese, what's going on in Congo. There's a wholesale slaughtering of Congolese people as well over there. United States knows about it. They call themselves an ally because they, import to them, some things, food and things like that. But what are they getting from the Congo? They're getting oil, and a whole lot of it as they turned a blind eye to the genocide that's going on over there. So for anybody to think that Kamala's policies are going to be different, it's just wild to me. The other thing is, it just said that Trump can receive anywhere between 10 to 21% of the Black vote. That's huge. When he ran in 2016, he got 8%. In 2020, I think it was like 12. And so it's gone up a lot from that point. we know that Democrats need anywhere within the 80s, 90s of the black vote to secure the nomination. So she's at about 70, 79%, give or take, depending on what poll you believe. And who you ask. Of course, we know they're not asking a whole lot of black people, because we know a lot of black people's like, nah, I'm not going, I'm not doing it. But just looking at Tim Walz's accomplishments, because I already can see how this is going to happen. I haven't been watching the news in the last hour or two, but I know how the black pundits, the black Democrat shows are going to try to spin this. They're going to say, oh, he's down for the Crown Act. Oh, he's got some sort of a policing reform, type of thing. And he's giving free lunches, and he's looking for black girls and women, and, all that other stuff. But it's like, he ain't talking about cutting no check. He ain't talking about the stuff. It's like, this is the part I try not to get mad over. They, being these politicians and all these black Democrat shills, they talking about everything but what we talking about. We could buy our own education if we wanted to go back to school. We could go and, buy whatever house or whatever neighborhood we wanted to, and all this other stuff they keep talking about with the infrastructure bill and this and that. We could do all that if you write us a check. The check that's owed from the debt from our ancestors. If you just write but ain't none of them talking about that. And somehow, especially some of these independent voters, who these voters that were in the middle. And you got to also be careful of the news, because one thing the news is, they are on one side or the other. Some of them may be in the middle or whatever, but for the most part, they are. So prime example is, you can listen to CNN and they're Kamala. Oh, Kamala, she's doing this. She's gaining strides. She's closing in on the swing stations. But then if you listen to a right wing media, then it sounds differently, right? So it's kind of like you just got to be cautious of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, all the news segments that I've watched or read, I have not heard anybody mention Black Americans. A lot of us, a majority of us, want reparations. I have not heard not one person talk about it. I have not heard Kamala talk about it. Matter of fact, I ain't heard Kamala say anything, whether she getting us 2 peas in a bucket. Y'all know the rest. I ain't heard her say she was doing none of that for us at all, but yet they're going to try to spin this as, oh, this is good. Oh, that's a good pick. Why?
Well, again, and I'm not, trying to go there, because you guys know I eat politics up. This is what I do. A lot of you people out there, you guys pay attention every 4 years, if you're even lucky to even know who your congressman is, your assemblyman is, or even your council member is. And Demetra, I have literally gone and talked to fraternity brothers, and I'm not in a fraternity, but brothers in fraternities, sisters in sororities, and they're doing the identity politics thing. They're going to vote for her because she's a woman. And when I challenge them to, tell me what her policy is, they are totally comfortable saying they don't know and they don't care. So if Kamala is for the continuation of the genocide in Gaza, that's what you're going to be voting for. These are the things. And like I said, I don't know if that's her policy. So let's be clear about that. We don't know, because there's nothing on her website. We don't know where she stands. There's a lot of word salad when this woman speaks. I saw a video last night where they directly asked Kamala a question. And it was about inflation. And she went all the way around and never answered it was a very simple question. What is your plan on inflation? And she brought up gas prices, when families hurt and all this stuff. They're like, oh, get to it. So I think it's very scary when our so-called educated top 9 Black people are telling the majority of us to vote for a person who, like you said, Demetra, has yet to explain what her platform is, and specifically, what is she going to do for Black people? All of this, if she's Black or not, whatever, that's irrelevant. Because, Demetra, I'm sure you how crazy politics is, and especially our people are. We're worried about if this woman is Black or not, but yet we could cape for Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton because he's playing a saxophone. Did it matter that he was a white man? It didn't matter. Barack Obama, an ambiguous black man, whatever it didn't matter. So I just don't understand how we look at the symbolic nature of a candidate, but we don't look at the substantive nature of the candidate. What do they stand for? What was their record? And again, for those of you guys that are not from California, you talk to any person of color, black or brown, that is from California, and I guarantee you, they will tell you how they feel about Kamala Harris' record. And then even when you tell that some of the top talented people who don't know this information, they don't want to know. They're like, it doesn't matter until their loved one gets locked up. Now, remember, this is a woman who tried to put the truancy law that she championed all through California. She wants to make it a federal thing. And then her answer to that was what did she say? The unresolved consequences of what had happened to those innocent single moms and stuff like that. So we have that saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. That's one saying. But to see what a person's going to do, you have to judge them by their past and what they've accomplished. I'm fairly regimented in this political thing. And I'm trying to be fair and level-headed. People look at people like us, Demetra, and they go, oh, you just hate Kamala because she's a woman. Oh, you just hate her because of this. Oh, you just hate her. No, I don't hate anybody, number one, because I'm a Christian. I don't hate anybody. But I am going to put out and do my homework on a candidate so I know what I'm talking about. And this is what I challenged you guys on my podcast. I said, show me anywhere on the Demetra Kaye show where we put out false information about anything that we talk about. We constantly challenge you guys to research what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, and if we do put out something false, it's not on purpose, and it was brought to our attention, we'll retract or say we're sorry, or or something like that. Obviously, never claiming to be perfect, but I don't know. I just know that they are going to try to spin this as a positive for. It's just I tell you, I got a background in public relations, so I know a lot about spin. I could do it if I really wanted to. I try not to, because spin is it's really just dishonesty, right? But they're going to try to spin that into, oh, this is good. He's progressive, he's for black people, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, the things that he championed, especially with George Floyd, he did because of George Floyd, right? Was he going to do it if George Floyd didn't happen? If George Floyd was not lynched in the middle of the street in broad daylight, would he have done any of those things? And great, we can go to work with an afro or whatever it is we want to do. But it's like, if you write me a check as a descendant of slavery, then I don't need to go to work. You know what I mean? None of this could be, if we had black-owned jobs, black, businesses and stuff, we didn't have to worry about you making a Crown Act, because we wouldn't care. That's just, it's symbolism is what it is. Because how do you know if somebody's not hiring me because of my hair? You think they're gonna say, you got a lot of naps going on today. I can't hire you. You think they're gonna say that? They're gonna find another reason. So how do you even regulate the Crown Act unless they're just blatant with, sassafras, I really don't like your hair today. Unless they say that. So it's like, I'm not going to get, I try not to get mad about politics, because everybody has their own right to vote the way they want, even though they don't feel that way about you and I, Donovan. They're mad because we are, saying what it is, whatever. I have people block me and I can't follow you. Some girl told me the other day, which I didn't even know we was friends. But anyway, I unfollow you because I don't know what your agenda is. I'm like, I always laugh when that happens, because I'm like, so telling the truth is an agenda? Asking us to wake up, that's an agenda? And so when I ask myself those things, when I see that, I'm like, well, I have to realize at one point in time, I wasn't as aware as I am, right? And so that's true for a lot of other people, but it's like some people, they want to be asleep. They like being, as I say, NyQuil for Negroes, right? They like to be lulled to sleep and comfort and not, because the truth is very disturbing to people, right? The truth of the matter is, if you are Black in America, there's a large chance that you have voted for the Democrats at least once. I would say that's probably the case, right? So here comes the truth. The Democrats do nothing specifically for Black people, right? You know that they are not for reparations. If they were for reparations, they would give it to us, blah, blah, blah. They keep most of the crime-ridden neighborhoods are ran by Democrats. Did you know that? Did you know that? You have a Sheila Jackson Lee, God rest her soul. She's been in office all this time, and Black people have not too much more better for her. Yeah, sure, when a hurricane happens, she'll give you 2 bottles of water and some formula. Yeah, she'll do stuff like that. But as far as potholes in your lawn and the crime in your neighborhood and the stores and the food deserts and all that other stuff, your city council, they don't care about none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's well, I don't care. I don't care. I just anything. I'm not gonna vote for no Republican. Anything is better. So that's disturbing to be jolted with away from what you've always thought to be the case. The Democrats are the party of Black people. All that because they do what? What do they do for us? What do they? Well, as we had this one sucker. I ain't seen him come on my page because I told him you make one more comment without clicking this link, I'm gonna block your meathead. Come on, he talking about, wow, the Democrats are nicer to me. They go to lunch. They take me to lunch. But the Republicans that I work for, they're just racist. They don't really talk to me. It's like, you's a big grown ass man. Big old man, not fat like that, but per his profile, he got a bunch of muscles, and you whining about somebody being your friend. Do you got a woman? Because what kind of woman does she sit up and listen to you? The white people and work, they're nice to me. They take me to lunch. Better be happy I'm not a violent person, because I would advocate something just two across your face. Pow.
But wouldn't that be the same analogy as the wolf in the hen house? The fox in the hen house? Wouldn't that be like the same analogy? Did that ever, would ever cross that person's mind? Like, if you got a white person over here, and I'm not saying all white people are evil, ain't what I'm saying, but I'm just saying Republicans don't cater to our vote. They don't care about our vote. They're not trying to get our vote because they know they can't get it. So if the Democratic Party was, number one, was the party that fought against slavery or for slavery during the Civil War, and then and it still is the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the original terrorist organization, one of the first terrorist organizations in the world. There's still that. Wouldn't it be advantageous that the fox is in the hen house and we're the hens? Did you see that meme where the fox is like, once elected, I will become a vegetarian? It's the same type of situation. I mean, well, what do you think about that?
I just think a lot of people can't recognize a fox. And if they see the fox, that ain't a fox. You lying, that ain't a fox. You just want me to think that's a fox because I'm just anybody but Trump. That's how they sound. It's like, my God, you have a family. You made it this far in your life with that thought process? It's like, because listen, Donovan, you and I have both purchased cars before, right? And I'm not really that good at it, but at least I take somebody with me that's a little bit more informed, that could talk the numbers and stuff.
Like your brothers. You have brothers, there's a resource. Right.
But that's like, I'm not going to walk to the car dealership, and because that happened to me once before when I was young. First time I bought myself a car, my mom was with me, and she asked me, she goes, what kind of car you want? I really didn't know, So the guy sat down, and the car dealer was like, oh, I think this kind of car is good for you. And my mom said, do you like that? I said, no. He says, well, this is a good car. She says, do you like that car? I said, no. She says, I don't care what anybody's telling you. You get what you like. You get what you want. And from that point, I never forgot that. But with that in mind, if I go into the car dealership, I'm going to know something about what I'm looking for. I'm not going to just be, well, I came in here because my neighbor told me that this was a good car for me. Oh, great. There's stick shifts. Do you know how to drive a stick? Well, no. So then why is it a good car for you? Because my neighbor said. And guess what? Anybody but Trump. By the way, I do know how to drive a stick shift, but I'm just saying, it's like, you can't even tell me why you're voting for whatever you're voting for. You could just tell me why. And then, Donovan, this is the crazy part. When they say, oh, anybody but Trump, and you ask them, well, why not? Not that I'm telling you to vote for Trump, because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? That I know of. I'll just be honest with you. The most of the stuff they telling you be some shit they heard from, some stuff they heard from somebody else, and they don't even, Project 2025. Really, did you read it? Nah, but I seen Ben Crump. He was talking about it. Now there you go. Ben Crump is an attorney, right? So he must know what he's talking about. Not to mention that Instagram deemed him for false information behind Project 2025, and I ain't seen him post nothing about it since.
But isn't that funny? Because if you guys that follow us, when you were on the show last Sunday, we were on the show and you had the Democratic trollers. And again, I'm a recovering Democrat. So technically I'm a Democrat. I just can't do it anymore, but I'm still a Democrat in spirit because I was raised, most Black people were raised to be Democrats. We're just Democrats. I'm just in recovery. But when the Democratic trolls came on the show, notice that when they would say something, it would always end in a scare tactic is their last sentence. Oh, they're going to put you back on the plantation. They going to do this. Wait a minute here. We're asking you directly, please tell us, and we're asking very respectfully, hey, we're all adults here. Hey, why do you like the Dallas Cowboys? Well, that's America's team, Emmitt Smith, Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, American team, they got 5 Super Bowl championship, whatever, right? And of course, people
can't forget the cheerleaders.
Yeah, you got to have the cheerleaders and stuff like that, right? But everybody laughs at Dallas Cowboy fans because we're the worst fans there is because every year we think we're going to win the Super Bowl and we get disappointed, right? But the same thing is if I ask somebody, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, oh, that's the working man's, team. And, they got 6 championships and, the dynasty. And you could, you can say everything about these things. I'm saying, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that might be a team I might want to, look at, maybe what? They got Tom Brady. The Bucs got Tom Brady. Oh my God, that's a difference maker. You know what I mean? You see all the trades going on and stuff like this. You guys can tell us that. But never once when I talk about the Dallas Cowboys do I tell people, well, man, if you get this, if you don't go with the Dallas Cowboys, man, you're going to be put back in chains. You can't win an argument with that or a conversation. But in politics, I don't ever see them saying that to the Asians. Well, if you don't vote Democrat, they're going to put you back in the dry cleaners. The Hispanics. Well, if you don't, vote Democrat, they're going to put you back in the fields. I just don't understand. And why is it that Black people, we are so afraid in the modern age? I just don't understand. There is no way, Demetra, I would ever believe Black people, regardless of who is in office, will just roll down, let somebody put some chains on them and incarcerate them in mass rates to where we're just going to be slaves again. It's not going to happen. There would be so much violence in this country and so much civil disruption, the country could not function. It would be just like that. And so I don't understand why that analogy works with us, the fear mongering and things of that nature. And again, who is keep perpetrating this fearing stuff? The top people that are supposed to be our elite people, Ben Crump, the sororities, the fraternities, Roro Martin, all the people that are supposed to be the smart people in the room, they're the ones that are perpetrating all of this fear. If you're a regular person in the hood, man, what? You're in the hood. How much worse could it get? You're at the bottom of the bottom. So, for us to this fearing it blows my mind. And then, of course, the civil rights generation, keep talking to them. Some of them will get it, and a lot of them do get it, but the majority don't get it, and they don't care. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you can't think for yourself, you already in chains. You know what I mean? So that you're gonna be back on in slavery. It's like, come on, knock it off, okay? You already in slavery. If you go punch a clock with somebody else and you can't take you have to ask somebody to go to the bathroom, or can you have the vacation and they tell you no because Glover Dean been here 45 years and she always take Christmas. You already in slavery. You already in chains. I mean, I'm not saying that to be demeaning, because hell, I punched the clock many a times and I felt like I was in slavery. You know, I'm like, I'm a fully grown ass woman. What I look like asking you, can I go to the bathroom? You know, or whatever. Can I take a break? I don't know. That's just me, right? So it's like, to say that you on the plantation or you gonna be back in chains is like you said, Donovan, how is your life gonna change anymore from what it already is day to day? You know, you can't think for yourself. If you go to church and you are afraid to question the pastor, you already in chains. You already held captive because you afraid you're gonna be swallowed up whole. The ground gonna open up if you ask the pastor, well, you know, I've been tithing here for the last 10 years, 10% of my income. And that's, you know, when I get the math, that's quite a bit of money. How is it that you coming to ask us for offering so you can buy office supplies? Because we ain't got no stables. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you better not ask, because you're going to be swallowed up. The lightning bolt going. You already in chains. You running around here, you know, in America, talking about you, democracy's in danger. You ain't never had no say so. And the fact that you can't watch to see your ass up to the White House and say, Joe and Kamala, I don't like what you doing. I'd rather you do it this way. And then, first of all, you couldn't even get nowhere near 1,600. Okay? You could not even get that close. You don't have a say so. You are in chains. So, to Donovan's point, y'all got all this fear tactic. Oh, the Project 2025, which is really just paper at this point. It's 900 pieces of paper. That's not legislation. It's not anywhere in the halls of Congress. It's a theory. It's you know, hypothetical is what it is. But as Donovan said, the Democrats, the higher-ups, the Rollins, the Joys, and all this other stuff, they done ran off of the plug and made y'all think that this is something that's going on right now. Y'all they had to vote against it, but they don't never tell you about the chains the Democrats got you in. They don't never tell you about that. You afraid to even think about a Republican candidate, even on the local level. You've been voting for the same Democrat as long as you can vote, and you're 90. As long as you can vote, you've been voting for the same Democrat. Talking about, oh, I don't know why they won't keep opening up this chemical trash plant. It's causing the cancer clusters in the neighborhood. Well, you know, you got another candidate who wants to come in and close it all down, but they not a black Democrat, though. They a Republican. You know, so it's like, you already in change. You don't even know how to think for yourself. You don't know how to decipher common sense and logic from emotions. You think emotions is logic. There's a lot of black people, black voters, I would say, will go into that booth with the fear tactics and emotions that they done heard on MSNBC from Joy Reid, who run around talking about the sky is falling. The sky is, I'm gonna start calling her Chicken Little. The sky is falling. And then y'all running in the booth talking about, I gotta do this because the sky is falling.
And I hope everybody remembers Joy Reid when she was wearing her Trump wig, okay? And I'm just bringing that up. I'm just bringing that up because why would you wear a wig that looks like Trump if you aren't a MAGA supporter? I'm just saying. Maybe she's on the cover MAGA supporter.
Y'all forced her to cut that hair off too.
I know. It was so bad. It was so bad. I don't, you know, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And you know, and another thing about Joy Reid, she's a first generation American. You know, I think her parents are from Africa or the Caribbean or somewhere like that. But I know she's a first generation.
I think it's Caribbean. Don't quote me though.
Yeah, first generation. Now, I want you guys to think about this. Kamala Harris, she's a first generation. I want you guys to think about this stuff. What do these first generation people have in common? They are for open immigration because that will open the door, because that's how their parents got here. They, you know, they love immigration, right? Hey, open the doors. What do you think if Kamala Harris is elected is going to happen with the immigration borders? Okay, they got rid of the Remain in Mexico policy on day one. On day one, they didn't go through Congress. They didn't do any of that. They said, Get rid of it. Just like that. Borders came down, whole swarm. They say 10 to 13 million illegal migrants are here in the United States. And Joe Biden is quietly legalizing them by executive order, coming in to getting their status. So let's go back to Kamala. Do you think she's going to do anything about the border when she was the one that was put in charge of it? And this is the result of that? What do you think is going to be the immigration policy toward Western Asian people coming to this country? People of Indian descent will come into this country a lot easier with a Kamala Harris administration. Why? Because unfortunately, Kamala Harris identifies as an Indian woman. She does. And what do you think is going to happen when those people come over here? She's going to paper them up as well. And I'm going to bring this up again, because a lot of people aren't talking about it. It's amazing that people are not talking about, especially on the news networks, about that immigrant that left that receipt at that bodega in New York. $12,000 to $13,000 in EBT, $5,000 to $6,000 in cash benefits, not to include the 6 months of free rent. How do people who have not paid one dime into the tax system and are here illegally get so much support, and yet we can't solve homelessness? We can't solve universal health care. We can't do these things. What do you think this is what we need to sit down and talk to with Kamala Harris. I'm not against Kamala Harris because she's this ambiguous Black woman. I'm not against. As a matter of fact, you guys, how many of you guys know that Kamala Harris, she used to date Willie Brown, which is common knowledge. We all know that. How many of you guys know that Demetra Kaye was next on the list? You were next on the list. We were up in Sacramento. They heard that Willie Brown was in the foyer at the Capitol. And I never saw so many civil rights women jump up, pull their girdles up, and run to the foyer and made Demetra get up. And then I'm very sure, because, Demetra's an attractive chick. She's all right? Willie Brown probably saw Demetra and was like, how you doing? Tell us the real story, Demetra.
I was just there taking photos, okay, of the old biddies that got their Spanx in a bunch, seeing Willie Brown. I was like, I mean, in 1920, he was probably something to look at, he's pretty up there now. But yeah, those ladies, you would have thought it was the second coming of Jesus in that lobby. It was crazy. But I guess they saw what Kamala sees too, something, I don't know. It's baffling. It's like one of those unsolved mysteries, I guess. But yeah, just, thinking about the whole thing, it is very surprising that in 2024, we as Black people, and I say collectively, we still don't want nothing. I don't even want to say much, because sometimes people say, I don't want much. I just want a little bologna sandwich with a little mustard on it. We don't want nothing. We're not asking for nothing. We just sticking our arm out. We just taking the infusion. We just voting blue no matter who. As long as it ain't Trump. We don't even, and then I'll tell y'all a story. I want to hear a story. Okay. Yesterday, I was loading packages into my car. Okay. My daughter and I were loading packages. I had the doors open. All the doors open. And it's, I think he's Nigerian. I don't know. Parked next to us. And I guess he wanted to get on his side of the car. Do you know this fool put his hands, it was my daughter's car, on my daughter's vehicle and slammed the door closed, and walked. So, of course, I prayed about it for 0.3 seconds. And I said, excuse me. And I went and opened the door back up. And I blocked him in between the door and his door. I said, if you needed to get by, then you say you need to get by. I said, but you do not touch our door, and you do not slam our door. I did not slam your door. I did not do that. I said, yes, you did. And I said, and don't do it again. So I let him by. Now I'm mad at this point. I'm like, excuse me, ma'am. Do you mind if I close your door? Can I get by? I said, it's called courtesy. So that's what it's called. I'm heated at this point because I'm like, mother, I was nice. I didn't curse him out or nothing like that, but I was like, there's just the way he slammed it. Like, it was, to me, I heard, you know, bitch. That's kind of what I heard when he slammed. How you gonna slam somebody? Like, what if and I said to my daughter, I said, if I was a white woman or any of these other women, he wouldn't have did that. If I was a man, he wouldn't have did that, because I'm a black woman, he felt compelled to do that. You know what I mean? So I told him, I said, it's called courtesy. So the reason I'm bringing that story up is, now I know damn well he wasn't born over here because he had a very thick accent, right? I didn't have to do, I did not slam your door, you know? And I thought about
patriarchy is strong overseas.
Which is fine, but you here, okay? You here. You know, you don't be disrespectful, but I'm like, but we, as the black voter, okay? Because they're part of the illegal immigration too, okay? I don't know about him per se. But we, as the Black American voter, are going to go into that booth, and we are going to vote in a Kamala or any Democrat that is very pro-open border, letting them come in. The Biden administration just halted a policy that they have because Governor Ron DeSantis is like, nah, I'm going to sue y'all because, for one thing, y'all bringing over, they say 30,000, they're flying over 30,000 immigrants a month. They halted it. And Ron DeSantis like, nah, there's some fraud going on here because there's some money and stuff. And it's just y'all, and then plus y'all bringing in more than you say you bringing in. So at first the Biden administration is like, no, there's nothing going on. But then they halted it and says like, well, we need to get a hold and make sure this, that, the other. So I'm saying that the Republicans aren't doing that. They're not bringing in those people coming here and put their funky hand on your door and slam it and then get funky fresh with you when you tell them you don't like it and don't, you know what I'm saying? We're voting for that. We're voting for the disrespect, and we ain't asking for nothing in return, because my mom used to always say, you can waste my time as long as you pay me. And we're not even saying as long as you write me a check, yeah, they could come over here. And if he slam my door again, I have enough money to bail myself out. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, you bring up a good point. I want to ask you this. You guys recently received a new mayor. Now, that new mayor, from what I've been understanding, he's a white guy. You know, I would identify him as using an adjective. I would describe him as a white man. He's now the new mayor. I believe there was a toxic dump area or something that he is on top of. Now, the former mayor was a black man who served, I believe, 2 terms as mayor of Houston. And that toxic
dump. Hold up, wait a minute, pump your brakes. He running for Sheila Jackson Lee's seat for Congress.
And he's what, 70-something years old?
He'll be 70.
They will die on the throne, all they can do. But here's my point though. So Houston, which has a very large black population, that toxic dump was there. And it's been there for a while, I think since the 70s, that toxic area, whatever's been there. So you mean to tell me something that is toxic? As a matter of fact, when we were on the war zone, there was a young man, they actually built on top of toxic zone areas, building housing and stuff on toxic zone areas. So you had a black mayor who see these toxic zones and people constructing on top of them and renting this out to people. And now you have a new mayor who's been in there about a year. I don't even think it's a year yet. And he's already addressing that issue. So could you tell us the difference between, what's going on over there?
So yes, he's a Democrat, actually, John Whitmire, although, I guess traditional Democrats accuse him of actually being a Republican, but he's only been in there a couple of months because there was a runoff election and all of that between him and Sheila Jackson Lee. She lost, and then she decided to rerun for her seat, which she died in office knowing that she was dying. Anyway, John Whitmire, there's quite a few cancer clusters around here from what I understand, because I actually spoke to a woman who lives in a neighborhood with a cancer cluster, and she's a Black lady. And I was asking her, I said, have y'all thought about going to the city council? Oh, we've done that. And they said they're going to look into it and just that and the other. I said, well, have you thought about voting them out? Well, when we talk like that, a lot of people don't want to do that. And I'm like, well, what the hell are you on the phone with me for? But nevertheless, John Whitmire goes in the office and he's like, nah, this needs to stop. We need to move these people. We're going to pay to move these people if they want to relocate, this, that, and the other. But guess what? There's some people who don't want to relocate. So you spent all that time bitching and complaining about the cancer cluster. Now, cancer cluster is an area that has chemicals and just it's toxic, right? It can be a dump site or where they've dumped chemicals. And what they've done is they've either built on top of it, or it is next to in the neighborhood, and all the remnants, if you will, are in the air and the water and stuff, and it gets into the people and it causes cancer, right? It's like they call it cluster because a lot of the people in that area end up with cancer. So it's not like a coincidence, right? Like, oh, you got cancer? Yeah, me too. It has something to do with the environment. So he's like, okay, bet, let's get rid of it. Let's relocate these people. But like you said, you had a mayor, Sylvester Turner, who served 2 terms. And I don't know, was he ever talking about getting rid of it? I don't know if he was talking about it, but this guy is like, come on, let's move, right? But then you have the ideology of a lot of Black Democrats who are like, oh, he acts like a Republican. He's just that. I'm like, so freaking what? He acts like a Republican. Are you just concerned about the name? Are you concerned about these people who are dying and contracting cancer? Do you care more about what he calls himself, or do you care more about the people? If Kermit the Frog, Godzilla, and Godzilla's mama was in that seat, but they're making stuff shake, why do you care what they call themselves? See, we get caught up into the whole, and I get why they give us symbolism, because we are caught up in symbolism. Oh, it's a Democrat. Well, we got to keep him in office. Oh, it's a Republican. No, we got to. Okay, the Republican. Yeah, you might have some different ways of doing stuff, but he's like, let's clean up all this crime. Let's clean up all the garbage and stuff. I go to the neighborhood sometimes, and I'm afraid to get out sometimes because there's dogs everywhere. I mean, you can go to any Houston publication and just Google dog maulings. And he even, John Whitmire said, we are going to get rid of the dogs, because what it seems like is people, it said, especially seems like during the pandemic, people after that, they couldn't afford the dogs or whatever. So they just let them out. And a lot of times people breed them. They don't need them no more. And they let these dangerous dogs out on the streets that they've been feeding red meat or even training with people's little dogs that are lost. And so they leave them out there on the street to fend for themselves. And they see people, a male lady, children, somebody riding their bike, and they maul them to death. But you got a Democrat that's in office that knows that this happens predominantly in the neighborhoods where Black people live, where children and old ladies are being mauled to death or disfigured, and you worried about a Republican getting in office? That's the stuff that makes me mad. It almost makes me lose sleep at night, because I'm like, are we that silly? The Democrat been there all that time and ain't thought nothing. Donovan, one day come out here. I want you to come out here, and I want you to just look at all these people's cars. Underneath their cars is toe up. They horrible drivers, don't get me wrong, but the roads are so effed up to where they tear people's undercarriages, the shocks it's just bad, right? But if you go into some of these nicer neighborhoods, you ain't dealing with you see people walking down the street without a fear of a pack of wild pit bulls coming to eat their ass off. They ain't scared of that, but you go in our neighborhood, because you think this may be the end.
Well, and the reason why I bring that up is the fact that this is the type of Democrat, if you're going to vote Democrat or politician, forget Democrat or whatever, the type of politician that you're going to bring in, somebody that's going to do something that is tangible in the neighborhood. So you mean to tell me you had a Black mayor all those years that didn't address those issues? If the roads got worse, that was under that Black mayor's tenure. See, and this is what I'm talking about. But he Black, so we gonna vote for him. He Black. But your neighborhood is getting worse. And I'm going to bring this up for people to understand too. 1/3 of all Black wealth was taken during 2008 during the housing crisis. Has anybody out there noticed, slowly but surely, since 2008, Black people have lost ground in our overall wealth in this country? Why aren't the Black leaders addressing that? Why isn't the CBC And I'm just a regular person that just happens to Google stuff. And I'm seeing our per capita wealth as a people is decreasing, decreasing, and decreasing. Why isn't that being addressed by these Black politicians? Why? And they know it now. You know, these guys are getting money from their lobbyists, so they've got their bag. But the fact of the matter is, if we've lost a third of wealth in one swoop in 2008, and that's 2008, that's 12 years ago, 14 years ago, however long ago it is, whatever, over 10 years ago. Here we are, and our wealth is even getting worse off. And now they're bringing the migrants in, the illegal migrants in, putting them in the Black neighborhoods with all the vacant houses, Detroit, Philadelphia, Chicago. All of this stuff is happening right before our eyes, and they're happening under Black mayors, Black officials, supervisors, and all this other stuff. Why are we not addressing what we're seeing beyond our eyes? Again, if you have a politician that is doing something substantial in your community, yes, reelect that person because they're getting stuff done. But overall, as a whole, in the Black community, our representatives are doing nada, zero, period, done. One of the worst congressional districts in the United States is led by Jim Clyburn.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think I'll always be baffled by that. We don't ask for nothing. We don't want, and again, collectively, I'm not saying all of us. We just like symbolism. We don't care as long as it's a Democrat. You know, as long as they can sing "Let's Stay Together," they can play a mean saxophone with the shades on, and they talking about I got hot sauce in my bag. I got a tub full of greens. I got a fish fry going on for you. And I'm gonna send a bus full of strippers to the pole. As long as they talking like that, then we think that's something, right? And it's like, you see, especially us. I ain't gonna lie, Obama got me too. So I'm not sitting up here lying to kid. But you see so many of us so excited about Kamala. It's like you wasn't excited about her 2-3 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden you're excited about her. For what? You ask them. You cannot say, because she's a Black woman, okay? Cannot say because she's a woman. And you cannot say, oh, any other than Trump. Why are you excited about Kamala? How are you as a cricket, even if you're a cricket, how are you going to benefit from the candidacy or the presidency rather of Kamala Harris? How is that going to enrich your life? Most people are going to be stuck because if you knew about Kamala Harris, you'd be like, because like I said, this is nothing personal. The way she's done her jobs, DA and DA and
Frisco.
Yeah, but I'm Attorney General, so I was trying to.
Yeah, Attorney California.
Well, she's done those jobs. She's harmed people. So why are you excited about it? You know what I mean? Because you can't say, and I'll say this: most people who are voting for Kamala, they don't care about everybody else. They only care about her because it's that appeal to emotion. They got this kind of rock and roll Beyonce kind of feel to it, and she's so cool. She's got her Chucks and her Timberlands on, and she's having hip hop day, and some of those hip hop greats have really disappointed me. I'm like, damn. I get it. Y'all was probably struggling and stuff. Y'all took a check. I get it, but damn, y'all.
Yeah, well, they're saying she's paying celebrities $20,000 an appearance.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, but you selling out for I mean, Kamala, I get it. She's got the cool factor. She's cool. But Kamala ain't, and I just looked on her website, by the way, they do have something different on there now. They've added Tim Walz.
Okay.
No policy. Huh? No policy. Just to meet him and meet Kamala. but they don't tell you why you should go. They're supposed to be touring the different swing states and stuff and giving all these rallies, but it's like, when y'all gonna sit down and talk about your policies? Like, what are you doing? Like with the National Association of Black Journalists. You think about it, that was strategic that Kamala didn't go. You gonna give him a rain check? You gonna let him know you didn't go because you couldn't answer none of those questions. That's why you didn't go. You ain't ready to answer no questions.
Well, do you? I'm going to cut you off, but do you really believe they were going to give her hard questions? I think they were more going to talk about her Howard experience and being a sororo and all that other stuff.
Damn well they was going to ask her what kind of seasoning she putting in her greens. They was not giving her no hardball questions. It's going to be all softball. Oh, we're so excited, Sora. And, you guys, the Biden administration has done so much for the HBCUs. And, what are you going to put ham hocks? I know Doug is Jewish, so you can't eat ham. So do you put turkey in your greens? That's the kind of stuff they were going to do. But they came with both barrels blazing with Trump. You know what I mean? But even with that, this supposed to be Black woman, and all these Black journalists, and it looks like there's other people there as well. They showed up, and you ain't showed up yet. She ain't showed up on nobody's couch, desk, nothing, to have no interviews about what she's gonna do. Nobody finds that strange. So was she just gonna her way in the office? Is that what she's going to do? It's working. What did Hillary say? When Charlamagne, I said, do you have hot sauce in your bag? I do. Well, people are going to say it's pandering. Well, it's working.
Do you know how to wobble? Do you know how to wobble?
Well, that's what Roland is for. He's the resident wobbler. And I don't mean that. I mean that in so many ways. He's the resident wobbler. I'm like, well, they're going to get so many votes. It's like, you should be just sent to the backwoods of, these ain't my words, I'm gonna say it, Kaye. Farrakhan said it, so I think I could say it. You should be, I ain't gonna say it because somebody might get mad, but he should be sent to
taken to the woodshed and flogged. Okay.
I don't know who would want to flog him, who would want that job, but just on the strength, I said the strength of you saying, if you learn to a white woman who clearly does not like Black people, you tell her, if you learn how to wobble, you're going to get a lot of, you know what the crazy part about it is, though? Roland wasn't lying. Ooh, she invited to the cookout. Did you see that? She can go wobble better than most people I know. You know what I'm saying? So Roland ain't stupid. He got his finger on the pulse of Black people. They don't want nothing. They just want to see if he can wobble. That's all they want. Just wobble.
Yeah, Rollins was waiting for his check to deliver so many numbers. He has to deliver so many numbers. But before we get out of here, I want to bring this up. There is a report. This is how out of it when we come to Black wealth that we're at. You see everybody going on these trips, which is fine. I believe everybody should get a vacation. Mass corporations are laying off people. Okay, corporations, airlines, they're quietly laying off these people. I think so they can replace them with the migrants at a cheaper rate. That's just my little take on it. But corporations are quietly laying off people. Stores are closing their doors the next day. They're not even saying, okay, in a month, whatever. They're closing the doors. Here in California, the 99-cent store was gone just like that. Just like that. There's been a report that people are doing really well. They're vacationing. They're doing this. What they're not telling you is people are now financing their vacations because they don't have enough money with the cost of living and the way things are going up. So now people are taking out loans. And I have to say that because I worry about my community. Prevalent in the Black community. Remember those old payday loans that was really predatory toward Black people in the Black community? They have now a new scam where now people are financing vacations so they can get away, a little escapism, and going into debt deeper. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, there's several ways that you can finance, and one of them is called Klarna. You can break it up into 4 payments and things like that. So they have different things to do that. I think the other side of the story is that I just think a lot of people are so disenfranchised. They're like, if not now, when? I'll probably, at the rate everything's going out, I'll never be able to go on a vacation. So if I could go now and finance one, I'm a go. So I don't hate it, but I don't love it either, because I do think that people should be able to enjoy, take a break from the rat race or whatever. But yeah, that should not uh be a habit. But I think people have been financing vacations forever, whether you put it on a credit card. I think most people put a vacation on a credit card. Most people can't afford to do it, but they're like, I'm gonna pay for everything on the credit card and I'll just pay it off later, type of thing. But I just, the stock market tanked on Friday. It tanked on Monday. They said it had a little bit of a rebound today. I don't know what happened with it ultimately today.
We haven't, people say we're not in a recession. We've been in a recession since 2020.
Well, and not only that, they said the stock markets are tanking because people are in fear of a world recession, right? Which means the whole world. I think is China. I think their stock market is China, Japan. One of them, they didn't even trade at all. They was like, nah, we good today, right? I think that was yesterday, because the unemployment numbers came in not where they wanted it to be. Unemployment rate actually didn't go dip. They actually went a little higher, from what I understand. They didn't add that many jobs to the labor market. So when that kind of stuff happens, investors and just different people get scared. And so, of course, the economy starts to shut down. They chose a month ago or so not to lower the interest rates on things, which they're still rather high. So there's a perfect storm going on. And like you said, Donovan, of course, they'll try to spin that, oh, it's not really that bad. But you and I both know people who have lost their jobs. We've had conversations with people like, yeah, I ain't been able to pay my car note, or so this is like boots on the ground conversations. So you got to also think, and I suck at statistics. I passed because God sent me a great teacher, right? He was like, as long as you show up, I'm going to pass you. And that's how I pass statistics. But what I understand is that they do poll people, right? They ask surveys, but they're not asking everybody, right? Because it's very possible that people who are being surveyed may say one thing, but they believe another, and they just may be trying to do the survey because they're getting $1, right? We know people get paid to do surveys, so but you got to also think about real life. We all know people who are, as they say, living quiet lives of desperation, especially with this thing called social media now. People gonna show you, oh, we went to this and we did that, and I got this new purse, the red bottoms, the Uchis, the Gucci's, the Lucci's, and I won't say it with the C, but they got all this going on, but yet we know them, and it's like, didn't you say you was about to be homeless? But you know what I'm saying? So, but with that, Donovan, not to belabor this, but with that, it's so much going on where people just cannot really afford to even just necessities, right? And then with that, again, this administration has showed us, because you brought up the receipt, but the migrant that got $14,000, and as there was another one I heard it was like 20-something thousand dollars food stamp balance on the food stamp card. But you and I both can drive down probably 5 miles away from our house and see somebody under in a freeway with a tent or whatever the case is. So it's like, and this administration is championing that. So how is it that you got somebody who will be digging in the trash can tonight, an American citizen looking for some food, but yeah, you got a migrant who ain't supposed to have their asses over here with a $15,000 balance on their food stamp card? How?
Speaking from California, now that you brought that up, when I see a homeless person, it's somebody of American descent, meaning European or Black. I have yet to really see a Hispanic or an Asian homeless person.
I think I saw an Asian maybe once or twice in my whole life. I see, really, I'm not out here a lot like that, but in California, I would see, some Hispanic, but yeah, it's mostly either Black or they're white. But just keep that in mind. This administration here, they're the ones that's champion taking care of all the migrants and everybody else, but yet they're leaving starving people on the streets. Damn, at least you could go to the homeless encampments and hand out a food stamp card with a $14,000 balance on it. That would help them tremendously. They didn't have to dig in the trash can and potentially risk salmonella or something. Hand them a card if you since we got so much money here in America. So, you know, when I think about that kind of stuff, I'm like, yeah, people don't. You're right, Donovan. And guess what? A lot of these people, especially in our community, they profess to be Christians, but then you don't care. I don't care. I don't care what they doing. Doesn't it of Christianity to care about your brother, want for yourself, or your brother or your sister what you would want for yourself, but then you say you don't care what this administration is doing to people or not doing for people. You just don't care. So
and,
you a
and
hypocrite.
Yeah, and then last but not least, we talk about the inflation, and people make it seem like inflation just popped up and it's just something that is here. Inflation happens when the government pumps too much money into the economy. And so when us giving billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel and just throwing our money and supporting the migrants, this is what's driving inflation up, because there's too much money supply in the money supply system. So we got to think about that as well too. So, okay, as an American, I don't mind that happening as long as Americans are being taken care of first. Demetra, you've traveled. We went to Tokyo, Japan. As visitors in Tokyo, Japan, is it right for us to go stand in a line to get relief or some funding before the citizen of Japan?
Nah, and they wouldn't let us.
That's my point. That is my point right there. So we really got to start thinking about this. It is asinine for people who are here illegally, because I'm not against immigration. I'm for legal immigration, but it's asinine to put those people ahead of the citizens that actually pay the taxes. So.
Yep. So anyway, we're going to be back here at 5 p.m. Central Time. I'm assuming we'll talk about politics unless something else comes up, but we just want to stay in the same vein of politics because we feel like it's important to get the word out. Sorry if I'm freezing up a little bit, but we find that it's important to get the word out and just, educate people as much as we can about from our standpoint, of what's going on. And again, I know a lot of people accuse Donovan and I of being Trump supporters or this, that, and the other. We're not, never told you that we are. And that's what you deduce from what we said. Then you need to rearrange your understanding. If we are Trump supporters, we don't have any fear of telling you that at all. We don't talk much about the Republicans, although we are versed on them. We know that the Republicans don't mean us no earthly good either, but the Republicans don't come knocking on the doors of where we are asking for our vote. They're starting to do it now, but that's not traditionally what they do. It's the Democrats that benefit from the black vote, but the black vote don't benefit from the Democrats. So we are asking for equity, right? We want pay for play. If we get you in office, we want something for it, just like everybody else is getting something for it. Because the Asians, they don't put people in office and don't ask nothing for it. Hispanics don't do it. Even white people, they're like, nah, we want something for the vote. But us, I'm just going to do it because I don't like the other guy. Right, I'm just going to stick out my arm and vote blue no matter who. So anyway, we'll see y'all in just a little bit. Again, we have ways to donate to the channel. If you'd like to do so, everything's appreciated. For those of you guys who already do, like, subscribe, and everything in between, we love and appreciate you dearly. We will see you guys in just a few. Peace.